Okay, we are locked in and we are ready to go. So I hope you guys have all grabbed your notepads and pens because right now we are about to jump into how I built a voice AI bot inside of Go High Level. For $0 a month, I pay nothing monthly for my voice AI bot. I built a voice AI bot inside of Go High Level that I pay $0 a month for. This same system that I'm about to show you here today is the same exact system that I've gone and resold to 50 of my agency clients. This same system is the same system that I've used to book myself upwards of 97 appointments a week. So I hope you guys are ready. The first thing I want to go over is the different platforms that we use to make all of this possible. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and you guys should be with me. Cool. So the first thing I want to jump into, right, is the different platforms that we use in order to make all of this possible. We, of course, need Go High Level. Go High Level is the system that we host the calls from. Go High Level is where we store our clients' data. And on top of that, it is where we are triggering the calls from, right? So Go High Level, of course, is the number one system that we need in order to make this whole process work. Tanzila has just dropped a link in the chat below to show you guys if you have not already got Go High Level. I'm actually running an offer where if you sign up to Go High Level using one of my links, I will actually personally help you build out this system for completely free. You just have to sign up with my link and I'll help you build out this system for completely free. Now, Go High Level is the system that we are using to trigger the calls from. But Go High Level is not the system that we are using to make the calls. Now, the way I like to work, the way most of my clients work, is most of my clients are reselling Go High Level. They white label Go High Level and they go and resell sub accounts to their own clients, right? And inside of those sub accounts themselves, we will host the voice AI system. Now, again, high level is just the system that we are using to trigger the calls and to store our contact data. Once we trigger a call from Go High Level, where are we sending out that call to? Because again, High Level is not the platform that we are using to trigger a call, to make a call. High Level is just the platform that we use that triggers everything. Make.com is the platform that we use in order to string everything together. Now, the platform that we use is Make.com. Why? Make.com is very similar to Zapier, but the difference is Zapier will probably charge you 10, 15 times the cost of what Make will charge you. Now, again, your cost for Make will completely depend on how much you actually use it. If you are not making any more than, let's say, five, six, 700 calls a month, then you actually don't pay anything for Make. Tanzila has dropped another link below inside of the chat to show you guys if you do not have make.com already, then you can sign up to make.com using my link. You get a free 7-day trial. And even after that 7-day trial, if you stay within a certain usage limit, you don't pay anything monthly. So you can start using make.com today. You can make five, six, 700 calls a month, and your cost for make.com will be zero. So make.com is the second platform that we use. And of course, the third platform that we use is Vapi. Vapi is the actual platform that we are using to host the calls. Vapi is the platform that we use that supports the voice AI bot. Vapi is the platform that we use that picks up the phone and actually calls all of our leads. Again, high level is what we are using to trigger these calls. We are essentially sending out our customer data from Go High Level into Make.com. Once we send that data into Make.com, Make.com catches that data. It catches your name, it catches your number, it catches anything else we want to pass on from Go High Level. And then make.com digests that data. It takes your name, it takes your number, it takes your email, it takes everything we have fed it, and it passes it on directly to Vapi. And what does that allow us to do? It allows us to take data from high level, and pass it directly onto Vapi. So when Vapi picks up the phone and has a conversation with you, it already knows your name, it already knows who you are, and it also knows any other data that we decide to pass on from high level into make.com. Now, really quick, I want to come back into the chat. I want to open up the slots for you guys so that we can go ahead and answer any questions if you guys do have any questions.
I got a question.
Go for it.
What if we already have a Go High Level account?
Yeah, if you already have Go High Level, then pretty much here today, I'm going to be making an offer at the end of the call for what this would look like if you wanted my help to actually help build this whole system out for you. I want to show you guys the system first, obviously, before I make the offer, because then you have a better idea of what you're actually getting access to when you work with me. Sound good?
No, it doesn't sound good to me because you advertise this as let's make a bot for free, not to join under you if we're already Go High Level members, and not to pay you to build it out for us.
Yeah, that's what I am showing you. So I'm showing you how to build it yourself. But if you don't want to build it yourself, then you obviously have the option to work with me.
Oh,
If you,
got you. Okay. So I'm here to learn to build it myself.
yeah, and that's exactly what you're going to see here today. So I'm going to show you how to build it yourself. But I understand that everyone might not want to build it themselves. I understand that after what I walk you through here today, some people might look at what I'm showing you guys and think they don't know what it takes to build that. And if that is the case, if you guys don't have the capacity to build it yourselves, then of course I'm going to make an offer if you do want to work more closely with me and want me to build it for you. But of course, if you don't want to do that, if you want to build it yourself, then on this call here today, you're going to see exactly how to do it yourself. Sound good, Robert?
Sounds good.
Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and mute you guys again, and I'm going to bring up my screen. Okay, perfect. Now let's go ahead and jump straight back into it. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen again. And what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to demo how the system will look for the end customer, right? So going back into high level, how do we trigger a call? How do we actually take a customer from Go High Level and pass them into make.com? What does that process look like? Well, this is what it looks like. Inside of high level, I've created a dummy contact, Steven, right? Let's just say I select Steven for now and I manually want to go and add him into an automation. The automation I'm going to add him into is called to be called, right? I'm going to add him all at once. I'm just going to add him now. And let's go and actually take a look at what that automation looks like. If I go into my automation sequence here and I go outbound voice AI flow, and I select the actual workflow that I just added Stephen into, what is happening here? Let's forget this drip step for now. We can see Stephen is in this wait step. And what is happening in this wait step? Essentially, what we are waiting for is Stephen to enter a certain calling window. Now, the reason we are doing this is when we make outbound calls, guys, we want to make sure that we are testing the calls between different time frames. Sometimes we want to call people between 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Sometimes we want to call people between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Why are we doing that? When we are running outbound calls, we want to be able to look at the data afterwards and see, okay, what times were people most likely to actually answer the phone and speak to us? What times were people answering their phones most often? And once we collect that data, let's say we make 100 calls a day, and from the 100 calls we made within that day, we see that the time people are actually answering the calls the most is between 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Well, what can we do with that data? Now we know people are more likely to answer their phone during that calling window, right? What we are going to be able to do now is change this workflow so that we are only calling people between 1 p.m. and between 2 p.m. Now, the next step, once Stephen enters that calling window, what happens next? Once Stephen enters that calling window, the next step that happens is we are sending out a webhook. This is how we send out data from Go High Level into make.com. This webhook step here, essentially what it is doing is we are sending out data from GoHighLevel. We're taking the contact's name, their number, their email, and guess what? Because we are using HighLevel as our operating system, let's say someone's come in and filled in a Facebook ad, or someone's come in and filled out a survey for you guys. What you can actually do is you can include custom data inside of this webhook. You can actually take the answers that someone has given you in a Facebook ad or in a survey, and you can pass that into make.com. What does that allow you to do? That means if someone's filled out a survey for you guys, that means if someone's filled out an entire survey answering all these different questions, qualifying themselves to you, you can take their answers and feed it to your bot. Your bot can actually pick up the phone and have an ultra personalized conversation specifically based on what this contact answered inside of that survey. Let's say they told us they want to sell a house within the next 3 months. Let's say they told us they've got a 3 bedroom house with 2 bathrooms, X, Y, and Z. Our bot can actually pick up the phone and say, hey, we know you're looking to sell your house within the next 3 months. You've got a 3 bedroom house and you've got 2 bathrooms. And then the bot will carry on his conversation based on how we've trained it. But this step here allows your bot to make every single conversation ultra personalized. It means that every time your bot picks up the phone and calls someone, it is directly speaking to that person. It is not another generic call. The biggest problem with outbound calls nowadays, guys, is too generic. Most people, even with cold callers, forget a voice AI bot, even with cold callers, when they pick up the phone, they're too generic. And let's be honest, nowadays, no one wants to sit on the phone for 3 to 4 to 5 minutes listening to what you are trying to pitch them. No one wants to do that nowadays. So how do you actually keep someone on the phone if they answer? How do you actually keep them on the phone? How do you actually make them an offer? And how do you take them from making an offer to the next step, which is hopefully a conversion? Or that can be done by hyper personalizing the conversation that you have with that bot on the phone. I'm going to come back to the Zoom. I'm going to open up any slots for if you guys have any questions.
I've got a question.
Go for it.
So with these outbound calls,
Mhm.
can we get like a transcript or a recording of the conversation so that we know what was covered in the responses and so forth?
Yes, exactly. That's the next step. So right now,
Excellent.
I'm just showing you guys how to trigger the call, right? As soon as we've triggered the call, let's say the bot has actually had a conversation with someone now. Well, what is the next step from there? So stay with me. I want to take things in order. I don't want to take things out of order. If we jump into that right now, the rest of this won't really make sense. So let's go one step at a time. I've just showed you guys how to trigger the call, right? How to trigger the call inside of GoHighLevel. Now, what I'm going to show you guys is once we've triggered that call inside of GoHighLevel, what happens next? We know the call isn't happening inside of GoHighLevel itself. So how do we take this data from GoHighLevel and where is this data actually being sent? Well, this data is being sent into make.com. This data is being sent into this scenario right here. And it can look a little bit like crazy rocket science, but it really is a lot simpler than it looks. All that is happening here, right? We've got this webhook step here. And what is this webhook step doing? It's fetching the data that we sent out from GoHighLevel. Inside of HighLevel in our automation here, what are we doing? We're sending out the contact data, right? We're posting it, as we can see here. We're posting it. And make.com, this step right here, is catching that post. It's catching that data from GoHighLevel. So make.com catches the name, the number, the email, and if you want to include the survey answers, it will catch that data too. And then what happens? Then we need to build a set of variables. Then we need to build a set of variables like their name, like the answers that they filled out on the survey, so that eventually we can end them up here, which is essentially passing them on to our voice AI assistant inside of Vapi, right? Now, this does require a little bit of technical experience. It does require some code too. I don't want to go too in depth into this whole scenario here. Anyone that is a part of this webinar, you are going to get a free video which basically shows you what this scenario looks like in more depth, and will basically show you how to duplicate this scenario. But again, I don't want to make anything more complex than it needs to be on this webinar here today. So I'm going to keep it super simple. If you guys don't understand how to set up this blueprint right here, if you don't understand how to build this out, I'm going to share a video with you guys that essentially shows you how you can go and duplicate it. But the only thing that's happening here in this scenario, to keep it simple, we're catching the data from GoHighLevel and we're directly pushing that data now to Vapi, right? So inside of Vapi, we can have our assistants, right? We've got our assistants inside of Vapi. Now, how do we take this assistant and actually attach it into make.com? How do we know that inside of make.com, it is using the right bot, it is using the right phone number, it is doing all of the things that we want it to do? This is how it's done. Inside of the scenario, if I go and click onto edit, right? Where we have our set variables, inside of this scenario, all we are doing is we are copying out our assistant ID. So inside of Vapi, where do we find our assistant ID? Under assistants, right? In the top, once I actually click on my assistant, I can see my assistant ID in the top left. All I'm going to do is copy out my assistant ID. Now, once I've copied out my assistant ID, what am I going to do? I'm going to paste it into here, right? Then it's going to ask me for my Vapi API key. Now, where do I find my Vapi API key? My Vapi API key is going to be on the bottom left. Once I log into Vapi, once I'm inside of my account, in the bottom left, you will see your account name right here. What you are going to do is click onto API keys. Once you click onto API keys, you have a private API key and you have a public API key. You are going to select your private API key. This is a super important step. A lot of people get mixed up with this. We want to select your private API key. Now, once you've selected your private API key and you've copied out that API key, you're going to go back inside of make.com and you're going to paste out that private API key right here. And then last step, your phone number ID. Your phone number ID is the number that is attached to your specific assistant, right? So you see all these phone numbers that we have. Each phone number is attached to a specific assistant. As we can see here, right? This phone number underneath it is attached to Sarah, our assistant. Sarah, right? Each bot needs a phone number to pair up with it. So when we're making outbound calls, this bot is making outbound calls from one specific number. Now, let's say, for example, that person doesn't answer the phone and they want to call us back. When they call us back on that number is actually triggering the bot as well. So inbound and outbound calls are all associated with one number. You're going to have one number attached to one assistant that's going to make both inbound and outbound calls on your behalf. Keep it simple. There's one number for one bot. Cool. Now, to get my number ID, I'm going to click onto phone numbers. And inside of here, you obviously will either buy a phone number, you import one from Twilio or Vonage. And then once you click onto your phone number, in the top left, you'll see these little codes here. I'm going to copy them out, going to go back into make.com, and you are going to paste them out into here, right? That's really the main part of all we need to know about this scenario here. Everything else is a little bit more technical. And again, if you don't understand how to set it up step by step, then I will send all of you guys who are a part of this webinar, every single one of you will get that video on how to actually duplicate this whole scenario. But it does require a little bit of code, and I don't want to make things any more complex than they need to be. So that is all we need to know for now. And essentially, once we've done that, all that's going to happen is going to go through all of these steps to essentially send them out to Vapi so Vapi can pick up the phone and actually call this person. So quick recap of what we've done so far. We've triggered the call from GoHighLevel. GoHighLevel has sent out a webhook. That webhook sends out the name, the number, the email, any other info we want to send. Inside of make.com, we catch that data. As soon as we catch that data, the first thing we're doing is we're choosing which assistant are we sending this call to, which number is actually calling this person. And then once that's done, it triggers the call inside of Vapi. Vapi picks up the phone and has a conversation with you. I'm going to bring it back really quick because I know there was a little bit of technical jargon. I'm going to unmute all of you guys as well. If there are any questions, we can go ahead and jump into them. Cool. So I've just accepted requests for anyone to unmute themselves. Any questions?
Yeah, if you have LC instead of Twilio, will Vapi work with LC?
Yeah, so LC is owned by Twilio. LC
Right,
is GoHighLevel's white labeled version of Twilio, right? But
right.
is really and truly is exactly the same as Twilio. Twilio own LC, right? Now, in order to import a number from Twilio, you would need to have there's a specific code that you would need from Twilio in order to import it into Vapi. So the process that you would need to go through, Robert, is you would need to contact GoHighLevel support and actually change your number from LC to Twilio. So that's a simple process that GoHighLevel support can help you with. There's literally no difference at all. Again, LC is owned by Twilio. All you're doing is transferring your number over from being hosted by LC to being hosted by Twilio. Because when you do that, you'll obviously have the capability to actually import that number back into VP. Make sense? Cool. Any other questions for me, guys?
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
chat.
Um, so if I have Twilio phone numbers that I use inside high level, could I still just go into Twilio, grab the I guess the SSID number and use
Exactly.
that in Zappy in Vapi Zappy, well, I don't know which one it is. Vapi, yeah.
Exactly.
Um
Exactly.
but it won't affect my high level. It just using the shit, it use the same number, it just won't affect anything.
Exactly. So again,
Okay.
that's exactly the pro. So Robert, that's exactly what would happen for you. So obviously, if you already have a Twilio number inside of high level, what you're doing when you import a number into Vapi, let me really quickly share my screen and show you. So all you're doing, right, is you're going to Vapi, and where it says phone numbers, you have this import section right here. When you click onto import, you're going to obviously paste out your Twilio number, your SSID, your auth token, and then you're just going to give the number a name, right? Import from Twilio, and it's literally that simple. All you need is the SSID, and all you need is the auth token, basically the API, in order to import your number from Twilio into Vapi.
Will that import affect the high level number or the
No.
high level usage? Okay, good.
No, it won't. So it won't affect anything inside of high level because again, the number itself is being hosted by Twilio. It is not being hosted by high level. Anyone else, guys? Tanzila, I know you unmuted really quick. No?
Can you use your number, Twilio number in more than one uh place, like in high level and Vapi? Can they be used simultaneously?
Yes, they can be used simultaneously. The only issue I would see arising is, let's say inside of high level, you're trying to make a call the same time that you've got a Vapi bot making a call. That's the only time that I see maybe a conflict there. Um, but if that's not the case, then to be honest, I don't think it should be much of an issue. Unless you obviously are making simultaneous calls at the same time. But again, Vapi does support simultaneous calls anyway. So for you, it shouldn't be an issue, no.
Do you
Okay.
know how many calls Vapi can make concurrently?
Yes, I believe it is. So I would recommend no more than 10 a minute. So you can make 10 calls simultaneously within a minute, but I wouldn't recommend any more than that, to be honest. Because again,
Yeah, I've heard of all kind of crazy, AIs being able to do like 1,000 calls a minute. I'm going, what the hell? Why would you even want to do that? And
yeah, again,
even the AI voice in Go High Level, yesterday they posted it'll take up to 200 calls a minute. And I'm going only for DBR, otherwise you wouldn't need that. you know?
Yeah. Yeah, again, I wouldn't even recommend something like that because the first thing I said, right, was we want to test the calls that we are making outbound between different calling windows. We know, right, that not if we make 1,000 calls a minute in 1 minute, then we don't have data to test throughout the day to see what times people are actually more likely to answer the phone. So when we're running outbound calls, especially, we want to be able to call people between different calling windows, between different time periods, so that we can look back at the data and say, okay, well, this is the time that people answered the phone the most. Tomorrow, I'm going to focus more of my calls during this time because obviously more people are answering the call that time. Make
Well,
sense?
that makes total sense. I think it was just some kind of a big joke to try to sell their AI. I don't know if it was Air AI or what, but hell, I've only got 1,100 contacts. If it'll do that in a minute, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's
And then
crazy.
yeah, and then you haven't got much data to work with. All you've got is data from that 1 minute, which is
And
probably
that
not.
kind of a volume, you may get banned anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another reason why I was moving on to. So that's another reason why I would only recommend 10 calls a minute. Even for me personally, to be honest, I don't run simultaneous calls. I don't run more than one call a minute because Vapi is not the one that is monitoring how we're calling people. Vapi is just the technology that provides us the voice AI, the prompt, the knowledge base. That's all Vapi does, right? It's the technology behind the voice AI. But to actually call these people, we're using Twilio or Vanage, right? And Twilio or Vanage, they're phone carriers, just like any other phone carrier. They are going to monitor our behavior. They're going to see, okay, why is this person making 1,000 calls in a minute in the same minute? To them, that's not going to look very ethical business wise, right? So we want to be very careful, especially with outbound calls, because again, Twilio, Vanage, they will monitor you. And unless you guys want to get banned straight away, I wouldn't even recommend simultaneous calls. To be honest, I would recommend dripping them out. That's why inside of my Go High Level step, that first automation in there, you can see the first thing I'm doing is I'm dripping these contacts out so that I'm making sure I'm not calling anyone simultaneously. I've got a limit for how many calls I want to make from one number every single day. And then from that limit, I'm breaking it down into smaller chunks. Let's say 300 a day, right? From 300 a day, how many do I want to do every hour? From how many I want to do every hour, how many am I doing every 10 minutes? X, Y, and Z. Hope that
Well,
makes.
I don't know about the rest of the world, but in the US at least, outbound bot calling and all is going to be heavily monitored by the FCC, and you're going to have to prove you got the right to be contacting these people. So they
Yeah.
better be in your database that you got
Yeah.
through Facebook.
Yeah, so right now it is only, I believe so. Right now it is only illegal for B2C. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But again, I want to make sure that if you are outbound calling these people in the first place, just make sure they opt in. And if they haven't opted in, then just make sure you're not doing it for B2C because for B2C it's already been banned. And for B2B, most likely it's going to be banned very soon if it hasn't already. So just make sure if these people haven't already opted in, then just make sure that you are doing it for B2B only. Nice. Okay, so what I want to share now, guys, right? What I want to share now is actually building your assistant. How are you going to build an assistant that is actually built to convert? How are you actually going to build an assistant that is going to get you results? Well, there's really two or three things when it comes to building a voice model inside of Vapi. The most important thing is the prompt, and after the prompt is the knowledge base. Now, this is an actual live bot. This is a live bot that I've built for one of my clients, and I want to show you guys how we have built a prompt, right, that is built to convert. Now, most people, they don't know where to start with a prompt and they don't even understand what a prompt is. All a prompt is basically giving the bot a guideline for what is going to happen on the call. What is your roles and responsibilities on the call? What is the objective of the call? What direction are we moving this lead from as soon as they answer to the end goal? How do we get to that end goal? That's all we're doing in the prompt. The prompt is not where you overflood the bot with information. Because again, this technology is still fairly very new. You want to keep it as simple as possible. Now, how do you actually build a prompt that is built to convert? I'm going to show you guys a little trick inside of Vapi. Now, in the bottom right-hand corner over here, you see docs and support. I want you guys to click onto docs and support, and you're going to go and ask AI. Now, what you are going to do is say, how do I create a prompt that is built to convert? And what Vapi is actually going to do is tell us how to build a prompt. And once Vapi gives us a set of instructions, I'll show you guys the next step, but it's super cool, right? Based on the documentation, here are the key principles for creating an effective conversion-focused prompt, right? Boom. Okay, now we've got the prompting guide here. I want you guys to click onto the actual prompting guide. Once you go onto the prompting guide, what you can do is I want you guys to copy all of this out. Copy out the entire prompting guide. And then, cool. I'm going to copy out the whole prompting guide. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to go over to my own custom GPT that I've built. This custom GPT that I have got built out is specifically built to create you a prompt that converts. This is a custom GPT that me and Graham have created in order to make your lives 10 times easier. You don't need to worry about testing different prompts. You can come to this prompt generator, and Zila's going to drop a link for this prompt generator so you guys can access this for free. You don't need a ChatGPT Plus account. All you do is click on the link, you get access to this prompt generator, and what you are going to do, we just copied out the prompt guideline, right, from Vapi. I'm going to paste out that prompt guideline into the GPT. I'm going to say, this is the guideline that I want to follow in order to create my voice AI assistant. Ask me all the questions you need in order to build me a prompt based on this guideline, right? And then our GPT is going to take all this info and it's going to come up with some questions to ask us in order to build us this prompt, right? We're going to answer question one, then it's going to ask us another question. We're going to answer question two, it's going to ask us another question. And by the end of it, once you answer all the questions, what have you done? You've built an actual prompt that is built to actually convert based on what Vapi have told you, based on what the actual developers of the platform have told you, not what I've told you. This is the exact same thing that I use myself whenever I onboard a new client. Whenever I create a new bot for a new client, this is the exact same thing I'm doing myself when it comes to actually creating the prompt. You've got a whole GPT specifically built to create you a prompt that is built to convert. And all you're doing is answering a few questions based on how you want your bot to perform, based on what you want your bot to do. Once you answer those questions within literally 5 minutes, what have you got? You've got a prompt that is specifically built to convert based on what Vapi have set the guideline out for us to do. Going to come back to the Zoom again and unmute you guys. If there are any questions, you guys can go ahead and shoot away. Just unmuted everyone.
Yeah, Said, please check the chat.
Okay, no worries. By the way, everyone that is sending chats, you guys do have the permission to unmute yourself. Okay, looks like there's a few questions.
I can see why we want to get you to build it. This is more complex than I thought.
Yeah. And again, Robert, right? Look, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do here is share value, but I know that not everyone has the capacity to go and build this themselves. I've done this for 50 plus people already, right? So you can go the route and try and build it on your own, or you can decide to work with someone who's already resold it to 50 plus people, who already knows how to build it from start to finish, who knows how to get people interested in it. And the most important thing, who knows how to actually get people paying money for it, which is the most important thing. I guarantee you, every single person on this call here today, they might want to use it for themselves, but ultimately, they want to go and resell it to their own clients, right? Now, taking this system is just one piece of the puzzle. Taking this system is just one piece of the puzzle. How do you actually take my results? How do you replicate my skills, my knowledge, my understanding, my experience? How do you replicate all of that to replicate the results that I also get? It's going to be a lot more difficult than it looks, right? So that one-to-one support, of course, I charge for one-to-one support. Of course I do, right? But after what I've walked you through here today, I hope you guys can see the value in that one-to-one support. And again, if you don't, you're getting all the value anyways in me showing you exactly how to build this on your own. Let me go through a few questions in the
Saeed?
chat.
Oh, okay.
Oh, someone just unmuted themselves. What was that?
Saeed, now,
Yes.
in addition to outgoing calls, then you will also work with people and helping to put together AI voice bots to handle incoming calls, incoming appointments, incoming service calls, and other AI voice bot activities, correct?
Yes, for sure. Now, with inbound, it's usually a lot more simple actually than outbound. Inbound is a lot more simple than outbound because what do we know about inbound? If someone is calling you, that person that's calling you is a hand raiser, right? That person that's calling you is coming to you directly. And even if you've got a terribly built bot, they're still likely to actually stay on the phone with you and have a conversation. Why? Because they're the person that raised their hands and came to you, right? It's simple logic. They have a problem, they've come to you, they don't care who they speak to. For example, let's say a pest control person. If someone's got a voice AI bot built for a pest control person, whoever calls that bot, they don't care who they're speaking to. They've got a problem that needs dealing with right now. They don't care if they're speaking to a bot. They don't care if they're speaking to a human. They've got rats in their house. They want to get rid of them straight away, right? So for inbound, what I've seen personally is it's a lot more simple. And in terms of conversions, you could have a terribly built bot and it will still convert because we know these people are coming to you. The psychology behind it is very different from, let's say, when you're calling outbound to someone who may not know exactly who you are.
Also,
If
do you sell pre-made workflows for automations for inbound and outbound calling?
That's right, yeah. So I'm gonna make that offer towards the end of the call, but again, I want to show the whole
Okay.
system first. Right now, we've got
So,
about halfway through. We've still got probably another 20 minutes, and then we'll cover the whole system, and you guys can see for sure, okay, this is exactly what I'm getting access to. If I have Twilio numbers that I use in GHL, can I use it in Vapi? Already answered that question. Is there any other options besides Vapi? Because Vapi voices sound a little robotic. Yes. So inside of Vapi, if I go back to share my screen, Kim, I want to show you, right? We do not actually use Vapi's own voices because, like you say, they can be a little bit robotic, right? So what do we do? Inside of Vapi, you can actually go to voice and you can go and import your own voice from 11 Labs. You can go and clone your own voice and import it directly from 11 Labs. So if I go and add voice ID manually, all I'm doing is copying out my custom voice ID from 11 Labs and pasting that directly into Vapi. So that's how you can get custom voices into Vapi. I tried AI agent for inbound calls by JHL. Terrible. It does not understand lead answer language Italian. Does Vapi perform better? Yes, Vapi actually supports 30 different languages. Italian is one of those languages. Now, one thing I try and make very clear to everyone that I speak to, GoHighLevel, their AI agent that they released recently is not built for performance. It's literally built just as an added feature so that they can advertise it to all of you guys, right? As an added feature. But it is not built for performance. I wish, honestly, that GoHighLevel released something that actually converts, that actually performs. Because if they did, then we wouldn't even be on this webinar here today and we wouldn't need to go through this whole complex process. But unfortunately, they don't. They don't build things that are built for performance. They build it to stay competitive with the likes of Vapi, for example. It's the same exact thing with their conversation AI. No one uses their conversation AI. Everyone would rather go and use Closebot or Zappy Chat. I built my own one. Everyone would rather go and do that instead of using their conversation AI. Why? Because it is not built for performance. It's just built as an added feature to advertise to all of you guys. But cool. That's the questions done for now. I'll come back to you guys in a little bit. Let's move on. Let's go back to the system. So, what we've done so far, right? I've showed you guys how to trigger the call from GoHighLevel. I've showed you how we're adding contacts into this workflow and how we're sending out that data from GoHighLevel into make.com. I've showed you how we're integrating our Vapi assistant into this scenario so that when the data comes in, it automatically triggers the right bot and the right phone number, right? And then I've also showed you how to actually build a prompt that is specifically prompted to convert. Now, what I want to show you guys is what happens after the call. Because after the call is probably 10 times more important than on the call itself. What most people get confused by, guys, is they think that just having a voice AI assistant is enough. They think that not tracking their metrics isn't really important when this back-end system is 10 times more important than your front-end system. Why? Well, this back-end system is what allows me to look at things like an investor instead of a gambler. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say you make 100 phone calls today with your bot. How do you actually know from those 100 phone calls that you make how many people have answered the phone? How many people have showed interest? How many people have not answered the phone? How do you track all those things? You trying to do it manually yourself is going to take ages. You trying to manually go and review each and every single call is going to take ages. And you not doing it at all is you basically gambling. If you're not tracking these numbers at all, you're basically just making random calls every single day, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. Now, I'm not a gambler. I have never made a decision in business off of luck, off of hope. I've always worked based on the data. I've always looked at the data and made decisions based on the data. Now, what is the whole point of this scenario here? Well, this scenario kicks in as soon as our agent puts down the phone. As soon as our agent puts down the phone, what are we doing? We are sending out a webhook from Vapi itself this time. So essentially, what we can do inside of Vapi under settings, right? We can choose to have a server URL. And essentially, what this is, it's sending out the call transcript, like Jack Nito was asking earlier on, is sending out the call transcript into make.com. We're taking the data now from Vapi. We're taking that conversation that we just had with our bot from Vapi. And what are we doing? We're catching the data into make.com and we're feeding it directly to ChatGPT. Why are we feeding it to ChatGPT? Well, we want ChatGPT to tell us number one, did someone actually answer the phone or did someone not answer the phone? Now, you guys might be thinking, well, why are we asking ChatGPT that? Why wouldn't the bot just know that automatically? Well, I've been using voice AI for about a year and a half now. And one issue that it consistently has is actually detecting if someone answered the phone or not. Now, this step here pretty much double checks and ensures that we are doing the right thing. It basically tells us, did this person answer or did this person not answer the phone? It is going through that whole call transcript. It's looking for, okay, was there back and forth dialogue between our bot and between the customer? Was there just a voicemail message? What actually happened on the phone? What did the person answer or did they not answer? Right? And as soon as GPT gives us a response, we have a condition step set up here. And this condition step is telling us if someone answered the phone or not. We are getting the response from GPT, and based on the response that we get from GPT, we have a condition basically splitting and separating the people that did not answer from the people that did answer. Now, what happens if someone did not answer the phone? You can see we've got 3 GoHighLevel steps here. Now, to keep it simple, right? All that is happening is if someone did not answer the call today, I'm not going to give up on that person. I'm sure every single one of you have seen what my follow-up sequence is like. I don't care about annoying people. I'm not scared of annoying people because I know it works. I know that if I get someone who doesn't answer the phone today, why would I just give up on that person? Maybe I called them at the wrong time. Maybe they weren't near their phone to pick up the call. Why would I give up on them? What am I going to do? I'm basically going to add a tag to that contact inside of GoHighLevel. And the tag that I'm adding essentially does what? It adds a tag and says that this person did not answer the phone. Now, what does that do? Inside of GoHighLevel itself, once we add a tag inside of make.com saying someone did not answer the phone, that triggers a completely separate workflow inside of GoHighLevel. That triggers this workflow right here inside of GoHighLevel, where essentially what we are doing is waiting 24 hours and then what? We're trying to call them again. We're adding them back into the workflow that triggers the bot after 24 hours. We know they didn't answer the first time around, right? But we're going to try again and again and again until that person is completely dead and we know, okay, we've tried to call them at different times, multiple times. They didn't answer. We'll just remove them from the flow. But if they didn't answer one time, we're going to stay on top of that person until they either answer or until we know that lead is completely dead, right? Now, what's happening here, guys? We triggered the call from GoHighLevel, right? We sent out the data from GoHighLevel. It went to Make, it went to Vapi. Vapi made the call. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Everything comes back into GoHighLevel. Your clients will not even know about this scenario. Your clients don't even need to know about this scenario. Why? Because everything is being triggered from GoHighLevel, right? But as soon as the call gets completed, what happens? Everything comes back into GoHighLevel. Everything like the call transcript, how long the call lasted, what time we called the person, did they answer, did they not answer, all that data comes back into GoHighLevel. And your clients never even have to leave their sub account. They never ever have to leave GoHighLevel. They don't even know what's happening on the back end because that's what they're paying you for. Why would they need to know about what's happening on the back end? They're paying you to set this all up for them. So why would you not make it in the simplest way possible? Why would you not make it so that it's easy for them to understand and easy for them to use? Your clients don't even need to know about Vapi. Your clients don't even need to know about make.com. Why? Because everything's going out from high level itself, and then everything is coming back into GoHighLevel. Cool. Now that's what happens when someone does not answer the phone, right? We're adding them back into an automation that essentially adds them to the calling list for the next day, right? Now, what happens if someone does answer the phone? What happens if someone picks up the phone and actually has a conversation with our bot? We're feeding it to ChatGPT again. Why are we feeding it to ChatGPT again? Well, in the first step, GPT has told us if someone's answered or not. And in the second step, GPT is now going to tell us, was this person actually interested in what we do? Or was this person not interested in what we do? Were they actually interested in booking an appointment? Or were they just wasting our time and, fluffing about on the phone? We want to separate the people that were actually interested from the people that were not interested. And then we've got another condition step here, right? This condition step is separating the people that were interested from the people that were not interested. So let's say someone was not interested. Okay, that's fine. We know this person's not interested. We're going to update that contact inside of GoHighLevel. We can, even if we want, add like a do not disturb tag, just so that we know this person doesn't get bothered again and we don't stay in touch with that person because we know they're not interested in what we do, right? But what happens if someone is interested? Well, if someone is interested, that triggers again a separate workflow inside of GoHighLevel. Now, I do not use the bot to actually book an appointment over the phone. The reason I do not use a bot to book a call over the phone, what I've noticed, again, another consistent issue with voice AI over the past year and a half has definitely been booking appointments. Sometimes the bot will double book in a certain slot. Sometimes the bot will book an appointment in a slot that is not even available in our calendar. Sometimes the bot will book an appointment in a completely separate time and date than requested by the customer. I've seen that these issues are just too consistent. And even if it happens 1 out of 10 times, that's still a sale opportunity that we messed up on. I want to stay consistent all the time. So instead of using the bot to book a call, what do? I only use the bot to find out if they're actually interested in what I do. I make an offer. Are you interested? Are you not interested? If you are interested, if you do want to work with me, if you do want to book an appointment, what happens? I trigger a workflow inside of GoHighLevel, which essentially will send them my appointment link through email and through text. This workflow is looking for someone to be added with a tag that says interested. And inside of make.com, this condition step is separating the people that are interested, right? Now, if someone is interested, what's going to happen? We add a tag that says interested, right? We add that tag inside of make that says interested. And then that triggers this workflow inside of GoHighLevel that sends them my calendar link through text and through email. Now, again, you guys know me. I'm not going to just send them my calendar link one time and forget about them. No way. No way. You can see I stay on top of these people until they actually book. I'm going to stay on top of that person because if someone tells me they're interested in what I do, that is my priority. They are priority leads. We need to stay on top of that person consistently until they either book an appointment or just tell us to get lost. We can see the branch steps here, right? Essentially, what we're looking for is someone to book an appointment. And if they do not book an appointment, then we're going to stay on top of them consistently again and again and again until they reach the end of the flow. We're going to keep reminding these people about our offer. We're going to keep reminding these people to book an appointment with us so that they eventually book. Because once you make an offer to someone one time, if they say they're interested, don't expect that person to book straight away. You're not the most important thing that's on their mind. They aren't going to be thinking about you 24/7 to want to book a call with you. Some people need reminding, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to put in action this workflow so that we can stay on top of all these guys and so that we can remind them to actually book a call with us. Now, what have I just showed you guys? I basically showed you an after call review system that is completely automated. Its whole system's automated. What was the only manual step that I actually had to do? The only manual step I actually had to do was what? Making sure I have numbers, making sure I have people to call. As long as I have people to call, guys, I can put them into the system, and all I do is sit back and watch the results come in. All I do is input numbers into my system every single day. I just have to make sure I have new people to call consistently every single day. And everything else from calling the leads, qualifying the leads, separating the leads, reviewing each and every single call, every single step is automated. All I'm doing is just uploading numbers. Even after the call, we've got an automated step for each and every single scenario. If someone doesn't answer the phone, cool, we'll add them to the call list for tomorrow. If someone says they're not interested, cool, we'll add like a D&D tag. If someone says they are interested, we're going to follow up and nurture them through text and through email to make sure that they actually book an appointment. Everything is automated from A to Z. That was a quick wrap up, guys, of the system that I wanted to show you guys here today. This is exactly the same system that I've used in order to sell to 50 plus people whilst paying $0 a month in monthly costs. Beth, I just saw that you missed the first part. This is all recorded. Don't worry. This is going to be posted into our groups, into our chat. So you haven't missed a thing. This is all going to be posted for you guys. I've covered the majority of the system here today. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute anyone that has questions. We covered quite a lot on this call. It's been going on for an hour and 10 minutes now. So anyone who has questions, I'm just unmuted you guys. You can go ahead and unmute and ask away.
I have a question. excuse me, can we integrate any app that we would like, or are we limited? For instance, 11 Labs, is that the only one we can use for voices?
No, I believe they have 20 plus different platforms that you can integrate now, so you're not limited at all. 11 Labs is like the most popular one. That's the one that
Right.
most people use. So
Mhm.
obviously 11 Labs is like their default. That was the first one they had integrated. I believe there's like 20 different platforms now as well that you can integrate into Vapi.
Thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else?
Can you post the links again for the discounts?
Yeah, for sure. Tanzila, can you drop all the links inside of the chat just for anyone that joined late?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Cool. So, guys, let's move on to the offer now. Now, I've showed you guys how you can build this yourself, right? You guys have seen how you can build this yourself. Now, what does this look like to actually work one-on-one with me and have me actually build this whole setup from A to Z for you? I will build it specifically based on how you want to build your bot. I will build it specifically based on how you want your system to work. Now, I usually charge a fee of $1,497 just to build out this system one time. For everyone that is on this webinar here today, every single one of you have access to my special offer. Every single one of you can get the complete build out done for you, uploaded into your GoHighLevel account with your very own training guide. So that after I build it for you, you don't need to come back to me if you get a client that wants to use this system. After I build it out for you, you're going to get a video training guide that is literally 20 minutes long. After I build it out for you, if you sign a client today that wants to start using this system today, you can onboard that client within 20 minutes. You can onboard a client within 20 minutes using that video training guide that I provide to you guys when you decide to come and work with me. Now, what is the special offer? Like I said, I usually charge $1,497 just for this system alone. For anyone that is on this webinar here today, you guys have access to an exclusive price of $997 one time. You can go and resell it and reuse it multiple times, as many times as you want, and you only pay for it one time. You pay for it one time, you never have to pay me again, and the only costs moving forwards after that is your calling costs with Vapi. You don't have to come back to me if you have another client that you need to onboard, because that training guide is going to show you in depth how to do it from A to Z within 20 minutes. So anyone that is interested in this offer, you don't have to put your hands up and talk to everyone about it. Anzila is going to drop a link below with my calendar link. Let's set up a one-to-one call. Let's jump on that one-to-one call. I can answer any questions that you might have. We can go into a little bit more depth on how this would look like specifically for you. Anzila, if you could go ahead and drop my calendar link below for everyone that might be interested in our offer. And going back to it, if anyone else does have questions before we wrap this up, again, you all are unmuted, so you can go ahead and unmute yourselves.
I'm just very surprised. By the way, you are a superb speaker, clear as a bell. But I
Yeah,
am very surprised that to me, the world's best bot is Vapi, that it does not do conversational booking. You're saying that it's better just to send them a link. That's wild.
it does do so it can book you them over the phone, but again, in my own experience, you're going to have issues consistently. So for me, I don't want to miss out on a single opportunity, right? I'm sure
Agreed.
every single
Yeah.
one of you have seen how I follow up with you guys. The
Yeah.
way I follow up with you guys is the same way how I get my clients to follow up with their leads. It's the same way how I use the same aggressiveness, the same passion and energy to get their clients onto the phone with them, right? We don't want to miss out on a single opportunity. And if we're not going to miss out on a single opportunity, for me, there really is no room for error. Now, I've tried it, I've used it for the past year and a half, and it's just consistent with the same issue over and over and over again. It will book someone into the wrong slot. It will book someone in a day that they didn't even request. It will book someone in a time that we're not even free. So for me, If I keep seeing those same issues, then of course I'm going to divert towards something that's not going to have the same issue, right? And on top of that, Robert, let's say someone is interested. Let's say someone said to your bot they are interested. We don't use the bot to qualify someone over the phone. Our bot asks zero questions over the phone because, again, going back to the logic of a phone call, the logic of an outbound call, right? When someone picks up the phone, they do not want to be sitting on the phone for any more than 2 to 3 minutes if you're trying to pitch them something. All we're using our bot to do is literally find out, are you interested in what we do or are you not interested in what we do? If someone says they're interested in what we do, then what happens? When we send them that calendar link, then we can qualify them. When we send them that calendar link, at least now we know they're interested, so we can stay on top of them. And when it comes to actually booking an appointment, they will go through all those qualifying questions before they're able to book an appointment with us. That's where the important stuff happens, right? The bot itself is simply used to make an offer. Are you interested? Are you not interested? With outbound calls, you need to understand how outbound calls work, right? Nowadays, think about it yourself, Robert. If you pick up the phone and someone's trying to pitch you, are you going to stay on the phone with them any longer than 2 to 3 minutes? You want to find out as soon as possible, what do you want from me? What are you offering? Am I interested? Am I not interested? You don't want to be sitting on the call with them for any more than 2 to 3 minutes, right? You just want to hear what they have to say. If it's a good offer, okay, I might buy. If it's not, get lost, right? So we need to understand the psychology behind an outbound call. We know that no one really wants to sit on a call for too long. So we just use the bot to make an offer. If you're interested, then once they click onto our link, then they'll get qualified, um, and and then we can book a call with them.
Good strategy. Makes total sense.
Cool. Anyone else?
So, instead of the bot booking, you just have the bot send a link to your calendar.
Yeah, so it's not the bot directly that is sending the link. So after the call, remember, inside of that after call review, what happened, right? We got GPT to tell us if someone was interested. How does GPT know if someone was interested? It reviews the call transcript, right? It reviews the call transcript, and then we have a condition which tells us this person's interested, this person's not interested. Now, if someone is interested, inside of make.com, we basically add a tag to that contact inside of GoHighLevel. So adding that tag to that contact is what triggers the text, the email to go out, to follow up with them, and to obviously book them into a call.
Thank you.
No worries. Anyone else, guys?
Saeed, hello.
Yes. Yes, sir.
What's the difference between the conversational voice AI and voice AI for appointment setting and so forth?
What do you mean by that? Voice AI is
Well,
voice AI. There is,
right.
I'm not
On your appointment scheduler, it said voice. There was a thing that said, "Am I interested in the voice AI or the
yeah.
conversational?" I think it was voice
Yes.
AI.
Yeah. So the conversational AI is a text-based conversation AI. So that's a
Okay,
conversation for text-based. So like Facebook, Instagram, text messages, emails. That's what the conversation AI is for. The voice AI is obviously for what we covered here today.
great.
No
Thank you.
worries. Cool. Guys, we've got about 5 minutes. Anyone else with questions?
Yes, I got one question. Will Vapi text people?
Yes, if you want it to, yes. But again, I would recommend just following the same sort of style we used here. Because
Just
with
through a
Vapi,
workflow. Yeah, okay.
exactly, because think about it like this, Robert. Vapi will send out one text message, but it's not going to follow up with those leads for you. It's just going to send one text message, right? We want to send out that text and that email, and then we want to be able to follow up with people who haven't booked a call yet, right? So you can use Vapi to send out the text if you wanted to, but for me personally, I want to stay on top of people. I don't want to just send them one message and forget about them. I want to make sure that if they show interest, I want to stay on top of them until they actually book.
Got it. Got it. That's very valuable. The in-depth understanding you have around how the whole darn thing works. That's great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries at all. Anyone else, guys?
I
Can
got
we?
a question.
Oh, we've got two people talking over each other. I got both of you guys. We've got time for both of you guys. Who
Okay,
was first?
do you have a snapshot for that workflow that you were doing?
Yes, I do. Again, if you want to discuss more about what this would look like to work more one-on-one with us, Tanzila, if you drop that calendar link again below in the chat, you can go ahead and book a one-to-one call, and obviously we can have a more in-depth discussion on what this would actually look like for you.
Oh, so the snapshot's not going to just come as a result of this
No,
webinar.
no. So the
I have to
training was
work with
done.
you in order to get the. I have to work with you in order to get the snapshot.
That's right, yeah.
That's kind of like saying, don't I get the car now at the test drive? Okay, so you're going to send us the video on how to do this thing at the end.
Yes. So
I'm
today
thinking,
was the
I'm
training.
thinking you're going to be doing my butt, though. I'll tell you, that's wild. So I appreciate it. I got to run. This has been great.
No worries. All the best, Robert. Who was next? I know we had two people talking over each other there.
I was just gonna ask, so if we're doing like we do a Facebook ad, for instance, and
Mm.
someone fills out a form, I want my bot to call immediately after the form is completed. So at
Yeah,
that point, I know that they're interested because they filled out the form.
yeah.
What is the same workflow? Would you use the same workflow for someone who is already interested?
Yeah, exactly. The only difference would be, Jack Nito. So instead of your bot being prompted for a cold lead, you're now going to prompt your bot for a warm lead, right? Inside of your prompt, when you're answering these questions on that custom GPT that I just sent to you guys, when you're answering those questions to that custom GPT, you're going to say, okay, well, this is what's happening. This person, for example, filled out a Facebook ad. They told me they want a solar installation. Let's say, for example, you're going to answer the questions, and then when you're prompting the bot knows, okay, this person's filled out a Facebook ad. They already know who I am and they're semi-warm, right? So that wouldn't be a change in the system itself. It would just be a change in the actual prompt. So the bot knows that it's speaking to a semi-warm lead.
Okay. It's Jacinta.
Jacinta, my bad. I'm
That's
terrible with,
okay.
yeah, I'm
I
terrible with
am too.
pronunciations,
It's
as you can tell
okay.
from my heavy British accent. Eric,
Oh,
I just
no.
seen that. Eric,
Hey,
I've just seen that
uh,
you've unmuted yourself. What's up, brother?
hey, just out of curiosity, what does the condition look like to justify whether they're interested or not? Is it looking for just looking for a reply? Is it looking for a certain term?
Yeah, so it's looking for a positive response in general, right? So you're going to make a simple offer. So let's say for just Nito's case, right? I use the solar installation as an example, right? Let's say someone jumps on and, they filled out a Facebook ad and they're interested in a solar installation. When our